3 in the Cups, and that's why he's firmed from 40 to 1 to 20 to 1. Wasn't a bad run. Jim's mate, the New Zealander, came here with he's a 5-year-old. In his career, he'd earned 45,000. Yesterday's prize for the winner, 65,000.
So it's been a real boost. He's had a lot of leg problems. I noticed he was heavily bandaged. Max Presnell from the Sydney Morning Herald joins us, always as usual at this time of the year. Max, you saw Better Loosen up in one run during the autumn. He didn't seem to come up in Melbourne, but that one autumn run in Sydney gave us hope that he would return to something like his best form. Your thoughts on him?
Well, I'd like to say that Keith Hillier is very hard to satisfy these days, because I did think that Better Loosen Up's performance yesterday was good. He dropped out. You would expect a horse of his quality to run home, but he did run home. And it's just a fact of so far so good with Better Loosen Up. He's had his problems, but he did show a spark of the old ability yesterday, and it's just a matter of how he pulls up and how he goes on now. I was glad to see that spark, though.
Max, I think you've got to thicken the glasses in those spectacles, because it was only a couple of weeks ago you're talking about Normanby Drive as a possible successor to Let's Elope, and she was beaten in Mare's company yesterday.
Yes, Keith, but she's not a boy's horse. But we're dealing with Better Loosen Up now and the Liston, so we'll get to Normanby River later.
OK, we mightn't even get that far, you know. Max, if you two guys keep going. Let's go to the Liston, see what you think of Better Loosen Up. He is last. I didn't think he came down the hill all that well. It can be a tough hill to come down at Sandown. He hasn't won at 1400 for the Hayes stable. The winner was pretty impressive, and there are a couple of other reasonable runs, including Sub-Zero.
They're off. And Jim's mate was the first to jump out from Big Colony, and Citizen got away very well, and so did Sub-Zero, and going fast along the inside, Ramyar and Purple Curse, Pressman's Choice. Belle Devo was just in behind them, and they were being followed a bit further back in the field then by My Brilliant Star, and a good long gap to Deadly Addiction, and Better Loosen Up as last of all as they run down the hill where Jim's mate has worked his way to the leader. Led about a length to Ramyar over on the inside of Pressman's Choice, close handy Purple Curse, Prince O'Leary up in that leading grouper, and pushing up on the inside Belle Devo with My Wandering Star getting up into a handy position. Famous Nickers just behind them, half a length back along the inside My Brilliant Star, followed by Heroicity, who's over on the outside of Deadly Addiction. A bit further back then came Sub-Zero, and they were followed by Brashy and Citizen as well back in the field, and still last of all Better Loosen Up, and he's 12 lengths off the leaders. They come up to the 600 metre mark where Jim's mate is doing it well, leading about a length to Pressman's Choice, half a length to Purple Curse, the outside of Ramyar, just behind them My Wandering Star, Belle Devo at the head of the others, very wide Big Colony, Heroicity, and a long way back in the field Citizen as they straighten up with Sub-Zero and Better Loosen Up as well back, but Jim's mate has kicked away, coming to the 300, is out full of running, led 3 lengths. My Brilliant Star running home well is now second, followed by Belle Devo and Ramyar, My Wandering Star, Purple Curse, and well back Citizen and Better Loosen Up as they come to the 100. Jim's mate is starting to weaken, My Brilliant Star running on, but Jim's mate is still nicely clear. He's got the list and won the New Zealander. Jim's mate too good. Jim's mate by a length to My Brilliant Star, a length and a half away third. Belle Devo was a good run ahead of Ramyar fourth, My Wandering Star.
Well, his stablemate to Jim's mate Cowrie Lad won the Liston in 1989. We thought this might be a guide as to the spring. In the last 6 years, Dr. Grace, Citizen went on. He won the Caulfield Stakes and the Caulfield Cup that year. What a season it was. And Military Plume in 87 went on to win the Craigley Stakes before being beaten by Rubiton in the big Caulfield Stakes or Underwood Stakes it was at Caulfield.
So I think, Bruce, what that chart shows us with past results of the Liston Stakes is that often the fitter horse has won the Liston and has beaten the better performers coming back to racing. That's the trick to that.
Yes, and Max, I'm interested also in Heroicity, who you saw a lot more of in the autumn than we did. He didn't fire yesterday. His stablemate did pretty well, Sub-Zero. Is he a horse that could win a Caulfield Cup Cox Plate? Is he of that quality?
Oh, undoubtedly. He won the Tancred at Rose Hill, or the BMW as it's now known, most impressively. Obviously, he's not a flash stayer. He's going to be one that will improve during his preparation. He's not a speed horse. He wouldn't catch Keith Hillier's eye, but I'd give him a little bit of time yet. I do think that while he was perhaps a shade disappointing yesterday, the race wasn't run to suit him, and he will do better in future.
Did you catch your eye, Keith?
It wasn't a bad run, and My Brilliant Star also, she'll win a nice race too. OK, Hugh Matilla hadn't won a race since Melbourne Cup Day. He won up the straight on Melbourne Cup Day last year, but he's been very consistent, including a third in the Newmarket, and he steamed home yesterday in the big sprint at Sandown.
They're racing up towards the home turn, past the 500 and his reward, leading a length and a half. Brilliant Disguise, who's over on the inside of Noble Lancer, followed by Umatilla. Just behind them, Classy Rogue, very deep, Non-Perel, Storaya. Then further back to Rare Chance, and back behind them, Infallible, Soho Square and Captain Cook as they go past the 400. And his reward being tackled by Brilliant Disguise, who's got to run through on the inside and wider on the track. Noble Lancer joining in, and Umatilla is down the outside as they come to the 250. And his reward is still the leader. Brilliant Disguise is trying to get to it. Umatilla running on, Noble Lancer beaten as they come to the 100. It's Umatilla. Umatilla raced up on the outside of Andy's Reward, takes the lead, and Umatilla, too good, draws away to win it well. Umatilla by a length to Andy's Reward. Brilliant Disguise third then.
He's come up very well, hasn't he? And Stephen King had a terrific day.
He did indeed. Punter shied off Umatilla, Bruce, 7-2 to 8-1 because of the dead track rating, and Noble Lancer 3s to 9-4 favourite and finished fourth.
Max, we'll talk about final card a little later on, but Umatilla final card looked like being two of the chances in the Gadsden later on during the Melbourne Cup Carnival.
No doubt about that. I'd just like to point out with Umatilla, the betting drift came because of what appeared to be rain-affected ground. Worse than dead, perhaps, was the mail in Sydney. And Umatilla has obviously improved on this sort of surface, as we saw yesterday. And I don't think people will be shying off Umatilla in future if there's a drop of rain about.
No, he's a good horse, and he'll be lucky to get 8-1 about him in any race that he contests. The mare's race was interesting yesterday. It was a listed race at Sandown, and Kushla Marie went out as the popular pick.
As they come down past the 400. Pride of Demas has got a lovely run on the inside to hit the front now from Hyde Chicago. Perfect Draw, Rockabye. Down the outside, Miss Muncher, followed by Akushla Marie, who's under a ton of pressure at the 250-metre mark, and Pride of Demas getting clear by a length in advance of Hyde Chicago, Rockabye and Terrar. But Pride of Demas is going strongly in the final stages. Hyde Chicago fighting back. Pride of Demas too good, and Pride of Demas has won it. Pride of Demas has won by a half length to Hyde Chicago. Tight for third, Terrar or Mamselle Perdue.
She's made tremendous progress, that mare. She won a maiden at Seymour not very long ago, and then won at Traralgon, so she's gone on with the job. Terrar, from a Springs point of view, and also Kushla Marie.
Yes, Kushla Marie, I think, needed that run yesterday, Bruce. Terrar will win races for sure. And Pride of Demas, last run at Sandown, had beaten Mexican Rose, who earlier in the day yesterday beat the Colts and Geldings.
So the form line was good. Any other highlights from the meeting? Bart Cummings has got a very good 3-year-old at the moment, hasn't he?
Yes, he's got a very smart youngster who won, never undercharge?
Undercharge, yeah.
Right. Won his second start, 2 wins. 2 starts, 2 wins, and will go on to win richer races for sure. Very promising.
Yes, maybe even the Caulfield Guineas, would he be going for something like that? He's a 3-year-old. And
that might be a little ambitious at this stage, Bruce. He'd have to beat better opposition.
Gee, you are very hard to please. I think you might have been right, Max, earlier on. I was a bit with Keith, but I think he is tough to please. This looks a quality horse. Were you pleased with the Peter Pan yesterday, Max?
No, no, Bruce, I wasn't. As I may have mentioned last week, the class of the Colts and Geldings, I think, is questionable. Well, the class of the Colts and Geldings, 3-year-old Colts and Geldings we've seen in Sydney is questionable. Yesterday, the Peter Pan was run at a farcical pace. Pay or play, handy horse, a fit horse, was able to lead throughout. Yachty, one of yours, ridden by Mick Dittman. Mick said he's a thinker. Yesterday, Yachty thought that he wouldn't get to the line. And when you don't get to the line for Mick Dittman, well, there could be a personality default there. But nevertheless...
You're talking about Mick or the horse. Obviously, Yachty, aren't you?
Yeah, there's no defects with Mick, I can assure you of that.
I've got to agree with you, Max. I mean, yesterday, Keith, if Yachty was ever going to win, and we've kept saying what a consistent and brave animal he is, but yesterday he had the race won and he just refused to go to the line.
His 9th second. That's unbelievable, Max, isn't it?
Well, it's believable. Yachty's got the score on the board. He looked well. He certainly wasn't showing his recent racing. He went out onto the track looking one of the best runners in the race. During the running, he looked very, very good indeed, but where it counts at the finishing post, he was lacking.
Max, you mentioned the pace, 34 and a tick seconds for the last 600 metres. No wonder the winner wasn't run down.
No, well, they came home, Keith, their last 2 in something like 22.5, which made it impossible for the back markers. Still, I don't think there's a lot of quality there. West End's trained up. The race wasn't run to suit him, but he won't be carrying any more of mine in future. OK,
let's see why West End won't carry any more of Max's, and just have a look at Yachty and see if you do feel that he has a personality and a temperamental problem.
They go by the 800 mark, and Play or Pay as the leader. About 3/4 to Yachty. Chilio third, he's Classic fourth. And then Pallet, Galway, Mick and West End between horses, followed by Classy Lucy. Further back then Sir T and Diamond Storm ridden along, followed by Frozen Limit, Takeshi. And Sir Amadi is under pressure at the tail of the field. Coming around the corner, Play or Pay the leader over Yachty. He's Classic on the outside, about to be popped. The question by Cooksley, and they are clear of Chilio. Further back is Pallet, followed by Classy Lucy. But coming to the 200 mark, Yachty put the head in front of Play or Pay, who's fighting back a length and a half away. He's Classic, who can't reach them. Yachty and Play or Pay settling down to a tremendous tussle. It's Moses and Dittman stride for stride. Play or Pay coming again after looking beaten, and Play or Pay won the Peter Pan. Ahead to Yachty, looks like Pallet third in.
So where do we look for the Spring Champion Stakes, I wonder, Max? And I'm also looking for Keith, the Spring Champion Stakes, and also the Victoria Derby.
Well, I suppose, Max, the connections of the winner there face the dilemma of whether to pay $15,000 to run in the Spring Champion Stakes as a late entry. Should they take that gamble?
I'd say so, Keith, because as Bruce said, where do we look? You know, you can't look too far past Pay or Play. He's a handy horse, but he's in against what looks to be a field of handy horses in the Spring Champion Stakes. He's a very fit horse. He's in form. It's a recipe hard to go past at this stage because, as I said, the tempo of the race suited him yesterday, but there's not a lot of class behind him. I'd pay the 15, and if I had your money, Keith, I'd certainly pay the 15. And
the temperament of Yachty that you criticised, Max, earned him $22,500 yesterday.
Well, he's got plenty of ability to go with it, and perhaps Rick Hall-Lacey will get the key to him. If he does, he'll win more races.
Well, Final Card needs a key every now and then too, Max. We saw him win the Gadsden in the fastest time ever run. He can put in a shock. He ran 17th in the Goodwood handicap in Adelaide. Yesterday he was flying. Let's have a look at him, and I'm going to ask Max a tough one after this. Here's Final Card.
Off and running now, pretty good start. Cavalier is a little bit tardy, so is Palatin, and Final Card bounced out in front of Hula Grey. Classic Magic, Cloudlet, Burrendar Boy and Shamrock Days are all quickly into stride, followed by Spanish Mix on the inside, and then Prince of Praise between horses, All Archie a bit deep, and so is Bay of Hope, followed by Cavalier. Social Rulers a long way back, Kinjate back with the tail enders, and so is Vows, and tailed off is Palatin. Now look at these leaders go to the 600 mark. Hula Grey on the outside, and Final Card, they are burning the grass. Shamrock Days running third, followed by Classic Magic, a gap to Burrendar Boy, then Cloudlet and All Archie. Bay of Hope off the track, followed by Prince of Praise. Further back Spanish Mix and Kinjatail need a heap of luck from there. In the straight 300 metres out, Final Card, Hula Grey, the two leaders there, two in front of Classic Magic running a bit of a race. Then Shamrock Days and All Archie, and Kinjatail can't win. 150 out, Final Card shot clear of Hula Grey. Classic Magic in third place. Kinjatail is absolutely motoring home in the last bit, but Final Card wins the Concord. Oh, look at Kinjatail. He motored home to get second. Third, Classic Magic.
Well, the hard one, Max, is not that hard for a man like you. Clan O'Sullivan, do you think he would have beaten this horse yesterday? Because this horse seems unbeatable on his day.
No, I doubt it very much, Bruce. I didn't tip Clan O'Sullivan a place in the race. Of course, Clan O'Sullivan was scratched on Friday morning when he injured his leg in a sand roll. But Clan O'Sullivan had 55, 5 kilos more than King Marauding had when he won the previous week down your way in a weight for age event. I'm a great believer in the weight for age scale, and I don't think Clan O'Sullivan could have carried the weight and beaten Final Card. The key to Final Card is his soundness. He's always been an unsound horse, had a lot of leg problems. His legs have come solid. Hopefully they will stay that way. But a very good win. Kinjate ran on. You'd expect him to run on. He's a class racehorse. There was a lot of pace on, but there was one in the race which, Keith, I want you to have a look at later, called Palatin in the red and green colours. Don't miss it in coming events.
OK, Keith, make a note of that, Palatin. Kinjate is sort of an in-between horse, isn't he? He's a terrific horse. You're not quite sure whether he's weight for age or just an outstanding handicapper, so we'll find out about him.
He's pretty handy, Bruce.
Oh, he's a good horse, no doubt about that. Gee, Donegal Mist has found some really good form of late. He won 2 major races in Queensland, the Tats Cup and the Ipswich Cup. Went to Grafton, was unplaced, came back, freshened up, and this is what he did yesterday in the Cup.
Double Maltz Rider is in on the fence now, looking for runs as they come to the turn, followed by Regal Sea and In the Money, and Paris Fire has dropped out last as they come around the corner. Our courting time, the leader over Stevac. On Kylie's run, Bambola is about to push off the fence. At the head of the others, Donegal Mist, and then Cremon Glaze. Double Malt is trying to work into the clear. He's out now, but he's giving them a start to the 200 mark. Our courting time still in front. Here comes Donegal Mist on the outside. Stevac is still there. Bambola got held up on the fence. Double Malt's going to fly in a moment. Donegal Mist is clear. Double Malt is absolutely motoring to the line. Too late. And Donegal Mist beat Double Malt, and Regal Sea got up for third.
Come on, Maxie, give us a Melbourne Cup tip. I've been dying to give one out. Can I get one out of there?
No, Donegal Mist is a very good stayer. He's up in the weights. May have been a bit lucky to beat Double Malt. The tempo of the race beat Double Malt. It was not what I would regard as a top cups pointer by either horse, but certainly they'll be competitive in races like the Newcastle Cup. But I just think that the big handicaps in Melbourne are a bit richer. Incidentally, Keith, Normanby River will win a cup, but as you pointed out, it'll have to be for 14-2 ponies, I'm afraid.
OK, she just lacks a bit of size. Let's look at the cup markets, and the big story yesterday was Viandacross, Keith, winning in New Zealand.
Yes, he did, Bruce, and he has gone to the top of the markets now, and the top line was Star of the Realm, but his win at Wanganui yesterday was in 1:47.2. Now, by measure of the heaviness of that track, the 1,800 metres, for example, record at Ascot in Perth is 1:46.8. So he would have finished 200 yards behind on a drier track.
He was over a mile. So the Caulfield Cup, Viandacross and Star of the Realm equal favourites at 10s. And for the Melbourne Cup, the favourites there, Viandacross also high on the market with My Eagle Eye. Now, gentlemen, I'll give you the Melbourne Cup winner. Tennessee Jack is my first big tip for the year. I know you've been dying for this, Keith. His win on Wednesday was unbelievably outstanding.
I can't believe you've waited until the last week of August to start producing selections, Bruce, but it was a big win. He rounded up his opposition at Flemington, and he's into 15-1 for the Melbourne Cup now. And smart galloper, and it might be Bart's 10th, yes, but there's a lot of river to go into a lot of water to go into that river. Max, we'll leave you the Chelmsford next week. Keith lets a lope running in the Memsey. Where's the tie from this week? Like Ascot, this is from the WATC, the West Australian Turf Club. Ken Hill sent the tie across. Their big meeting, of course, Perth Cup on New Year's Day. And I'm running out of ties, so send them in here to Channel 7. The Legacy badge, of course, it's Legacy Week, so I'm glad that you're parading the badge today. Thanks, Keith. Good punting. Thank you for the scones again today. Keith Hillier from Radio 3UZ and Max Presnell from the Sydney Morning Herald. Graham Hughes after this Rugby League.